Part of what I think groomed me is having mentors who saw what I had and I didn't know what I had. People saw me when I was not seeing myself. People have really have seen me and made sure I don't fall off the radar. I think that also motivates me to hold people's hands. Is that my hand was held through and through by people I never knew and by genuine people who expect nothing.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're listening to us from. Welcome to yet another episode of Footprints. Footprints is a podcast where we listen to the stories and glean the wisdom of our elders, especially around the conversation of succession and transitions and legacy. And I am honored to host a very special guest. I will call her Hilda. Aunt Hilda, don't worry, we understand each other. But Aunt Hilda, Tadria, you're absolutely welcome. And as we begin, take us way back, 80 years ago or so, or anyway, your earliest memories of being alive and being a little girl.
When I think of my childhood, which I have documented in my book, Stand, I have several outstanding memories. One of them was my mother preparing me to go to boarding school at 5 years. The second one was how sickly I was and the time I spent in hospitals. Actually, my parents didn't think I was going to survive. So let me start with the story of 5 years.
Yes.
My mother was married at 16. She went back from the best school in the country, Gayaza, after 1 year for holidays and found cows. She told me that when cows are brought to the home for marriage, you can't say no.
Yeah.
We are talking about 1941. So when she got me, and this is what she told me.
Are you her first child?
I'm her second daughter. Daughter, the first is a boy.
Okay.
She says she was not sure whether her husband was going to be keen on educating girls, having plucked her from school at 16.
Yes.
So she worked with the missionary who had sent her to Gayaza to receive me in boarding school at 5 years to guarantee my education.
Wow.
And the memory is of her preparing lunch for me, packing for me. And I do not recall seeing joy on her face. But she delivered me to school. Guess what? After one term, the school called her and said, your child is too young. So I was sent back home because I was too young to be in boarding school. But part of that also is that I was sickly and my illnesses were not defined. When sometimes I think about it, I keep saying maybe my mother was too young to know what to do with a child. And one of the outstanding memories again from my childhood is waking up in hospital and finding my mother crying because she thought I had died. Even up to today, I see her eyes. I woke up, I was given an injection. You know how you collapse? She thought I was dead. And I woke up with an injection and I found her packing clothes and crying. So my childhood, those are the things I remember very clearly.
Yeah.
But I also have recollections of my mother's handbag.
Oh.
She joined Mothers Union.
Yes.
And whenever she went to a Mothers Union meeting, her handbag always had bread and jam. In the
taking
to us.
Bringing
to us from Mothers. Yeah, because you know missionaries always serve jam and bread. And she always came home with it.
Wow.
Then fast forward, the next huge recollection I have, and that was a life-transforming time. I remember us being on a lorry going from Kabale to Kanungu. By then I had completed P2 because they were able to send me to a friend of theirs so that I could attend school within Kabale. So from P2, one day we were told we were going away. We were on a lorry, took a whole day. We get to Kanungu and we get to this chief's house. And we were received like chiefs. So we get to this place, we still didn't know what it is. There was everything. There were servants in the house. And then we started learning that our father was a Gombolora chief.
Oh.
And so let me skip to that point because...
And those days they were appointed?
They were appointed by colonialists. By colonialists. Now, my father was appointed a Gombolora chief from Kabale to Kanungu.
And for those who are listening to this and might not be from Uganda, how would you locate what is a Gombolora?
So that is somebody chief, who is put... so today it's equivalent of a county. Anybody out abroad would understand what a county is.
So he was
and
head of the
he
county.
Was the head of a county. So the colonial system, you remember, superimposed colonial supervisors.
Yes.
And Kigezi, where I was born, where you are from, is the only area which didn't have traditional chiefs.
Yes.
The colonialists tried to impose traditional chiefs from outside, and our people refused.
No.
So they started picking outstanding people within Kigezi and appointing them as chiefs. Now, how my father became appointed. My father was trafficked when he was a child at 9 years from Kampala, and was trafficked to Soroti at 9 years by a man he didn't know. We found him looking after goats and told him, "You want to go and be a scout?" My father said yes. Said, "Come.
Let's go."
Let's go. He took him.
Wow.
My father did not come back for another, because he came back home when he was 25 years.
Oh my God.
They didn't know where he had gone. He just walked out of goats and left. But one thing turned out very well. The person who trafficked him sent him to school. And when he came back, he had some skills which very few people in Kabale in the 20s had. So he was employed to work with the agriculturists. Historically, you know the terracing in Kigezi.
Yes, yes.
There was an agriculturist from UK called Pasgrove, and some other people who brought terracing. And my father started working with them, interpreting for them. And then they started trusting him. They would put him in charge sometimes. So one day, his boss went for a holiday to Mombasa, left him in charge. But his boss forgot to lock the money safe. My father slept in the office for a week.
Oh, wow.
Guarding the safe. When his boss came, found the safe open, and all the money in the safe, we are told he then sent his name to Governor Cohen to appoint him as a chief. And so for me, literally my childhood literally stopped there. Life transformed. We had servants. Every month, people were made to bring food to us because as a new chief, for 6 months, they knew you didn't have gardens. Yes. So it was compulsory. Burunji Wensi, part of it was to deliver food to the chief's home. So I started going to the school. I passed from primary 6 to go to junior school, which was a boarding school, the only best boarding school in Kabale then. And after that, life transformed. I was no longer a child now.
So take us then to the next step.
So the next step, I remember, again from the school, I want to pick the highlights. The place was so cold, but we had great teachers. And they were caring. Maths was my worst subject, but I was usually the best in maths. I remember the teachers beginning to pick me out. Actually, I was picked from primary school to go to that junior school. Teachers in those days would visit schools in the villages to pick the bright students. And I was already picked even before exams as a child who has potential to go to that junior school. So when the exams came and I had passed, then they took me. And I remember the teachers always encouraged me, you are bright, even when I knew I was getting 30 in maths. But I was still the best in maths at that point.
Wow.
The only incident I remember in school that we all subscribed to as a school was when we went on strike because we were tired of drinking maize milk porridge. So we went on strike. The other incident was because of the cold and because I think my parents didn't really, although they had come from Cavalry originally, didn't understand what cold meant to be at Cavalry, Rugarama, high point, wind. So I remember I had one blanket. They had asked for 2 blankets. So when we were going back home for holidays, my teachers told me, if you don't come with 2 blankets, we'll send you back. So I went and kept quiet because I knew my parents didn't have anywhere to get 2 blankets from.
Oh.
And then the day of going back to school, I went to the bedroom and cried. I told them I can't go back to school because I don't have 2 blankets. And again, for me, that's something that I always think of it, of how much our parents, even when they didn't have, they gave. My father told me, take this blanket from our bed.
Wow.
I pulled the blanket off their backs and packed it and left and went to school. So for me, again, it's a memory that stands out, that we were poor, but we were provided for without regret. Then I finish school, I pass very well and go to Gayaza High School. In those days, if you were a great student, you didn't have to pay school fees. So the district paid all my school fees throughout my Gayaza days. And I'm saying this not to boast, but one of the things which has stood me steady is having a head that works. I remember the teachers always telling me, you are better than what you think. And when I was at A level, you remember how they would tell you to start now applying to university?
Yes.
I didn't apply.
Oh.
I didn't apply because, again, this is something probably I would really, really like to talk about, is when I was a schoolgirl, my mother would take me to her women's groups. I taught them nutrition, teach them reading and writing, and I was recollecting one group where I taught writing, and one woman stood up and said, now I can read the letters my daughter writes. And I remember looking at her and saying, this is what I want to do. So when A level came, I wanted to go to Nsamizi to be a social worker. In those days, if you went to Nsamizi to do social work, that's it. So I put in my forms, and Miss Warren, one of the teachers who was handling the applications, called me to her home, gave me tea. She said, you know you are university material. I said, but I want to be a social worker. She said, you know you can do social work, but first, do your degree and then go and do your social work course, a diploma. Because in Uganda in those days, you did that diploma, you were stuck. That's it. And so I also mentioned this to say that part of what I think groomed me is having mentors who saw what I had and I didn't know what I had. Yeah.
It makes sense why you're so passionate and sold out on mentorship.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because people saw me when I was not seeing myself. When I was not seeing myself.
And I think people underestimate how that,
Yeah.
but also then even for girls.
Yes. Yes.
Because already generally girls are not seen.
They're not seen. Yeah.
Yeah.
But my parents saw me, and my parents didn't see a difference between boys and girls. We were all equally valued. Actually, my father always referred to me as Mary, my child. Mary, Mary, my child. So you know you are already valued. So when I go to
So
the
your other name is Mary?
Yes.
Oh.
And I love it because my father always, when he really wanted to show love, he would say, Mary, my child.
Oh, wow.
I follow a boy. I was an only girl among 4 boys. And by the time he got the second girl after 3 boys, that girl was named Mpirirwe. I am lucky because I've got another girl. So when I went to Makerere, I loved reading. I loved sitting in front of the class. I remember being the first one to put my hand up in class. And teachers started noticing me. By the time I finished second year, one of my teachers told me, if you get a first class, I'll make sure you go to Cambridge University. Do you know what Cambridge meant in those days? To be able to go to Cambridge?
Sure.
So when I said, what? You mean I can go to Cambridge University in the UK? So I didn't get any favors. I worked. I worked for it. People always used to tease me. I didn't know what a nightclub is. I left Makerere without ever going to a nightclub. If you wanted to find me, you find me in the library.
Wow.
Somebody promises you can go to Cambridge. You can't just sit and hope to go to Cambridge.
No.
I studied, but I also loved studying. I got a first class. Actually, the first class in sociology in Makerere University.
Goodness. Wow.
All the boys who had come before me hoping they would get a first class,
yes.
I was the first one to get it. Wow. When I was in first year, again, my motivation, the university, there was an organization of university wives of expatriates. They gave me an award for being the best first-year student.
Wow.
And they gave me 20,000 shillings.
Equivalent
of 20,000. I said, you mean you can get money for studying?
I shall study more.
I remember, I will study more.
Yes.
I will study more. So part of what I've achieved is knowing that people have really have seen me and made sure I don't fall off the radar.
Wow.
So when I finished with the first class, the university retained me as part of somebody who they are going to groom to be a lecturer. And so when I went to Cambridge, I had already been working as an assistant to some of the lecturers in after my first degree.
What was it like? So were you teaching? Were you a teaching assistant?
I was a teaching assistant.
What was it like to walk into a classroom and...
So as a teaching assistant, most of the times you organized
like the study groups.
Yeah. So that was part of my work, to carry on discussions with the students. And I was young. Most of the students were older than I am. And I remember passing through to go to the front. And a male student pushed his hand up my skirt. I didn't show that I felt it. He was looking at me, probably in shock.
He was waiting for your reaction.
Waiting for my reaction. I went and sat in front and conducted my discussion. But after that, and that's why probably most people see me in long clothes. I stopped wearing short skirts. in public space,
Yes.
because I didn't want to be sexualized. And those days, no one would speak for you. They would say, you are reacting for nothing. But I still remember, I still feel that hand.
Ooh.
So those are some of the things that started making me. Then I started actually investing in talking more to girl students, hearing their experiences. And one of the things before I left Makerere was to work with one counselor who was available to set up an official counseling center. In Makerere, they didn't have it. They didn't have it. I worked with a man called Matovu, and we managed to make the university set up a counseling center. Today it's a big place, but when we were there, it wasn't. Most girls would come to me for consultation, just for empowering, for mentoring.
And even to today, Aunt Hilda, many girls, the only person they'll rely on in a school setting is a female teacher that they can access and talk to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I made sure that individually we can do it.
Yeah, and yet that service, yes, is absolutely needed.
Is needed. So we managed to set it up. I think today they have a strong counseling center, but they still got female students.
It's still female teachers.
Yeah. So now my teacher said, you'll go to Cambridge, got a first class. He actually got me into Cambridge. I didn't even do an exam, an external exam for Cambridge.
Yes.
I got my admission before I finished my year 3 of university, because each year I maintained first class marks, and that was enough for them to say this student is coming. Yes. I got Cambridge. In Cambridge, you have a one-on-one tutors. Tutorials are held with the best professors in social, because I did social anthropology as my second master's degree. You sit with the best, and they are giving you anything and everything. I also remember there were not many black students in those days in Cambridge.
Yes.
I met with a Ghanaian girl, but we did different courses. She did religious studies, I was in social anthropology. We became great friends. Today, she's one of my best friends. And I remember students would expect you to fail because you're black. And then results come and you're on top. And then respect grows. Yeah. And this is a story I tell my children. If you work and stay on top, you will earn your respect. Then I started having some white students wanting to do studying with me. I left Cambridge with an upper second, came back, was now employed in Makerere at the Maiza Social Research Center. That's where I started my work, working as a researcher in Makerere Institute of Social Research. But within no time, I was able to be appointed as a lecturer. And then maybe I should mention that I met my husband in Cambridge. We were in Makerere together, never met.
Yes.
We met in Cambridge. And what brought us together also was being a few of us. I think from Uganda, actually, there were 3 of us. Myself, my husband, and William Kalema. So we became like a family.
Wow.
Yeah. Then I remember telling my husband, because you know how people want to accelerate things. I told him, I'm not going to get married abroad. You want to marry me? We'll go back home. I told my husband already, you are marrying a professional. So let's go home, we could get married. But I'll continue working as a university lecturer. And he was well with it. And this is another part of my story that I don't talk about, that I married a man who had no competition with me, who saw me, he was a partner. I remember when I was at Maiza, Makerere Institute of Research, there was an opportunity to go to the Netherlands to attend a conference, social anthropologist conference. I was 8 months pregnant. I went and told my husband, I said, they've told me they would like me to go to Netherlands within 2 months from now. But I said no. He said, why? I said, but I have just delivered. He said, what about me?
Wow.
I'll take care of the baby. I went to Netherlands and left an 8 weeks old baby with him. And that baby came back was in perfect health. At that time, because of his support and also because of my family, I was not very aware of the power of patriarchy. But then when I did my PhD, and I'll come to that story, is when I became aware of the power of patriarchy, and that's why I'm very passionate about clarity, ideological and conceptual clarity, because it affects you and you don't know what is actually affecting you. So when we started telling people I'll be going away and leaving a baby with him, we were in Namlonge Research Station, which was set up by colonialists to do cotton. He was actually the national cotton breeder. And men would ask him, so what's going to happen to the baby? And men, so is your mother coming to look after the baby? He said no. Then the other was, is her mother coming? He said no. But I remember something he said. He asked them, what does her mother or my mother know about my baby that I don't know? After that, no one asked him any question. So when it was time to go,
You went?
I went, and he was a very good father, a hands-on father. I remember another time, actually during the same time pregnant, I went again I was sent to join a research team in Nairobi. I was like 6 months pregnant. And the other baby was like 1 year, because they are 1.5 years apart. Different. And I was conflicted. He said, I'll come. I'll come and babysit. He went with me to Nairobi and babysat in a hotel for 3 weeks, because we were doing research. We went to Kisumu, where he sat in a hotel babysitting. And so usually when I talk to young people, and this is something that for me part of mentoring, is to tell them, look for a man who is not in competition with you. If you say you want to marry, because a lot of young girls say they must marry at any cost. Do not marry at any cost. Vet, if necessary, groom your husband. I didn't have to groom my husband, because I remember part of the questions I was interrogating him before agreeing to marry him. Some of the things I would say, by the way, me, I don't know how to iron clothes, because my father, boys always ironed clothes in our home. I don't know how to iron my clothes, so I will not iron your clothes. I will not wash your shirt. And by the way, I'm going to be a full-time professional. So one day he said, you know what? I am not afraid of housework. I was brought up by a market mother. She would just put the food there and say, you want to eat?
Do something.
Cook. You don't eat, cook, eat. Yes, I'll find it there.
Yes.
But take care of yourselves.
Yes.
So in a sense, maybe I was lucky, but I also didn't spoil him. So you need really to interrogate. As we say in our language, which you know, when you're going to get married, you ask. You ask questions.
Yes.
You put a case, depending on who you want to be in that relationship.
Yes.
Yeah, so I took opportunities because I was not afraid that he won't take care of children. So when I started going international, actually, we would alternate in keeping the children for holidays, because he was a great carer. He loved his children. His children loved him. So one holiday they would spend with him, another holiday with me, and then the final holiday of December, we would spend it together in the same. So it worked for us. So I was fortunate that I had the opportunity to be able to continue investing myself. So after a few years of lecturing, And then, given the bad political environment, one day we sat. So we agreed. Again, it was an agreement. Let's start looking for scholarships and find an exit. I applied to the University of Minnesota, and the people who had actually paid for my university, Rockefeller Foundation, had wanted me to stay in Cambridge and do a PhD, and I refused. So when I now contacted the representative in Nairobi and told him I'm now ready to go my PhD, it was no hassle. He said, where are you going? I told him, we'll pay, but you have to raise the money for paying for your children. Once you get them there, they will have an allowance, but first take them there. So I was the first one between the two of us to get the scholarship. Then we also agreed, we had agreed that whoever gets the scholarship first will go with the children. Even if it had been him, he was to go with the children.
Yes.
Because there is one thing we're afraid of. Uganda is a wonderful country. None of us ever wanted to live outside forever in exile. And you know it, most people who went as couples, they never came back.
Yeah.
The fear of coming back is huge, even up to today.
Yes.
And we didn't want that to happen to us. So when it was time to go, I went with the children, and he stayed here, came to visit us during Christmas. Then when I came to do my field work after 1.5 years, he said, now I can keep the children. You go and finish, and came back. And so I went to finish my PhD after my research. I was back, and another war. Because I came back in 1985. When
the Tito Okello.
Yes, the Tito Okello.
Yeah.
And I remember in university, they told me graduation will be soon after. I told my professors, I'm not waiting for graduation because I know something huge is going to happen in my country. And if it's going to happen, I want to be there with my husband and my children. I didn't attend graduation. So that's how it went. But part of it, again, how I managed to get to Minnesota, because people ask me, who goes to Minnesota? But I had a professor in Makerere, and when we kept in touch, when I was telling him I'm now going to the US, he said, you have to come to Minnesota. We'll take care of you. So I remember when we went, we stayed in their house for the first 2 weeks. They looked for housing, they settled us in. So in a sense, I think that also motivates me to hold people's hands. Is that my hand
was held yes.
through and through by people I never knew, and by genuine people who expect nothing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, but I need to give a few highlights of how patriarchy works. For me as a person in university, it was hugely male. It still is.
It still is, yes, actually, yes.
When I was going for my PhD, I went to say goodbye to my dean of social sciences. So I told him I need leave of absence. He looked at me and said, does your husband have a PhD? I said, no. He said, please don't go. I said, why? He said, you emasculate your husband. This is my dean, who is supposed to be excited that a member of his faculty is going for PhD. Not many women were going for PhDs in Makerere in those days. He said, it's telling me, don't go. He's thinking of my husband instead of me, his employee. Anyway, I went. Then I come back. A few months down the line, there is a vacancy for an associate professor in the Faculty of Sociology where I came back. What they wanted is a few years of teaching, which I already had, and a PhD. I went and told him I'm applying for the associate. By then I was a senior lecturer. He looks at me and said, don't, because I'm going to recommend a man. He even told me the name of the man. I said, good, but I'm still going to apply. I applied, I got the job. Both of them did not talk military for a year. And so part of me that I also didn't know that I have is that I don't give up.
Yes. We are going to stop it there, and we will come back with part 2 of Auntie Hilda's amazing story.